Afternoon. This is an update from the Monday, April 13th council meeting. I'm going to change things up just a little bit on this one because I want to address the Wallace House, and I think I'll start doing that with the rest of these videos. Is address some important key issues before we actually go into the boring old council meeting. So number one, the Wallace House. This is something that the MD of Foothills wasn't into restoring it and everything else. There's a lot of money to be put into the thing to get it back. And so it came to the town of High River. We looked at it just from the town of High River standpoint, and we're just not in the financial position to be putting $1 million into something like that possibly could turn into a massive liability in the future. So where it went from there, the Heritage Board got involved, of course, as they should, and then the museum got involved. So it came back and we looked at different ways of the museum doing it. The museum has some money that they would put towards this thing. Obviously the Heritage Board is in full support of doing anything to keep it. The problem that came down is that the town of High River was not interested in owning the building or having anything to do with it. If the museum does it, the museum is underneath the town of High River. So if the museum does it, the town is doing it. Any extra expense, any extra liability, any future expense comes back onto the town of High River. So there was a vote on Monday at the council meeting as to whether the town supported the museum in pursuing this with the MD, and the vote was 7-0, defeated that motion. That actually didn't defeat the motion, it supported the motion, saying that we don't support the museum purchasing the property from the MD of Foothills. The town of High River can't be the white knight coming into every property that's we feel needs to be saved somehow. We don't have the finances to do it, and honestly, going into the future, I've learned a lot about this, going through this one, that it's just not something that's our responsibility to the taxpayer, and using taxpayer dollars to save $1 million project. I think the town has its responsibility in supporting keeping heritage stuff together, but not owning it and owning it financially. So that's why the vote was 7-0. There was a couple of us, myself and one other councillor, Masterman, that really kind of pushed this thing with the museum, and we, trying to figure out, is there a way of this working? At the end of the day, we felt it was way too risky for the town to be involved in any way, shape, or form, and we backed out of it. That's the end of the story. There's been a number of homes, some heritage, some not, but that were victim to the flood. This is another one, and we've got to recognize it, deal with it, move past it. We got a great future happening in High River. It has nothing to do with us being against having heritage properties in High River. It's extremely important. But the town can't be the white knight every time to come in and save it. So that's where we're at. That's all I'll say about that. The council meeting started off with a couple of delegations. Brenda Fenwick came from the Foothills Regional Emergency Services Commission, otherwise known as FRESC, and just gave us an update as to how the 911 system around here works. It's managed out of call centers in Black Diamond Hospital, and just kind of gave us an overview. It was a good learning experience for me, just to find out how the different ambulance services and how they all communicate with the city of Calgary and these things, so that when emergencies happen, everybody's talking with each other and it's handled properly. So Brenda did a great job of explaining all that to us. The Canadian Red Cross, Jen McManus and Matt Baden came from the Red Cross just to give us an update on how the Red Cross has been doing since the flood and going through, and who they've been helping, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can't thank the Red Cross enough for really what they've been doing in our community, and it's $43 million raised, 30 million of that has been spent to date. 95 cents per dollar raised goes back into the communities. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about how much administration dollars that the Red Cross actually keeps. It's 5 cents per dollar. You cannot raise $43 million without being an organization. You need administration around that to raise those kinds of funds. Town of High River, we had our High River Flood Fund directly with the Town of High River. We raised $1.3 million. So that just shows the difference between how it's administered, and there's marketing and everything to gather $43 million for these projects. So very, very well done on the Canadian Red Cross's part. They are still getting new cases today. As people get through this and repair their homes, they're still in some financial difficulty, and you can go to the Red Cross and get help. Does the Red Cross just cut checks to people and just hand out cash? No, absolutely not. The same way that we handled our funding, our $1.3 million in the Town of High River. When you start handing just money to people, it gets very difficult as to how much money you gave that person versus this person. How bad were they flooded compared to this one? Did this one get DRP? Did that one get insurance? Why'd you give this guy? Like, it just goes on and on and on. It is not easy, and it's not just as cut and dried as give everybody in High River $200, because that would not get anybody anywhere. So the Red Cross has ways of helping people. If you think you need help in any way, just go talk to the caseworkers down there with the Red Cross, and they'll help you out. There will be a way that they can assist you. But you have to go in and go talk to them. And we've been preaching it for 1.5 years now, that you have to be your own best advocate and you have to go seek out help. There's a number of places where you can get help. So, but just go talk to them, please. From there, a few adoption of minutes. That was about it. Parks project updates. This was just the 2015 Parks Renewal Program, and Tanis and Kim came and did an excellent job in showing us everything that's going to be happening. And there's a few things that we've elevated above others to get a couple of things happening. Number one is the Hamptons Park. That's a Town of High River responsibility. I want to get that thing fixed up, greened up. I want a playground in the middle. I want kids playing and everything else. I want it active in there. I want to make it start to feel like the neighborhood it was. And that's our responsibility. There's responsibilities on a few other individuals that got to get a few things done in there to really get the thing going. But if it's our responsibility, we've elevated those for those Hamptons people. The other one with the Hamptons is 2nd Ave and 20th Street. We're looking at different ways of getting that road opened up so that we can lessen the Deerfoot Trail that's going right through the middle of the community right now. So going past that with the renewal programs, there's a massive number of parks renewal programs from along Center Street. You'll see on the west side or east side of Center Street that we've gotten that cleaned up. Little Bow Park over here, that's been getting cleaned up. Goes on and on and on. There's a couple of ball diamonds that'll be done. It's a massive program this summer as well. Then we moved into a few things: removal of municipal reserve and environmental reserve designations and town parcels, transferring them to the Crown. This has to do with all of the town-owned properties in Wallaceville. We have to remove environmental and municipal reserve designations from those in order to transfer title to the province of Alberta. So that's what we did. So doing our part in getting Wallaceville moving. Cleanup should be started in, well, we've asked, it can't start any later than June. So that area's got to get cleaned up and move on from that. High River Centennial Library reconstruction. There was a group that had started building it. They were removed from there for not doing very good work on it for whatever reason. So We made a motion and granted Lear Construction the contract to rebuild the existing library down there. Study of the regionalization of emergency services. This is just a motion that supported proceeding with this study, and that takes into every municipality around us and how all our emergency services, and can we regionalize a few things to make it a little more cost effective and efficient. The renewal program approval for 2015. This is something that kind of needs to be talked about so that people in High River know how massive it is. We still have an enormous amount of work. Every line in this thing is a project. Some of this has been done. Most of it has yet to be done in this one. It's sized to font on massive paper. I can show it to you. It takes forever to go through this thing. We had a great year last year of getting a lot done in 2014 and moving past. 2015 is going to be another very aggressive construction year and a very aggressive cleanup year. But 2015 will be the year that you really start to see High River green up and get it cleaned up. Councillor Loran and I were talking about it the other day, and we apologized, but High River going through this, we've been in a little bit of a dump in the last year and a half, and that's just, there's no other way to put it. It's just kind of the way is what it is. As beautiful as it looks to those of us that went through the flood, it looks so it has been a little bit of a dump in a few areas. So 2015 is going to be the year where you really see us starting to get things cleaned up. You're going to see the Wallaceville area cleaned up. We're going to start to see the amazing green space that we're going to have through the corridor of High River. There's lots of areas that need to be taken care of yet. There is a list, and I know every time I'm downtown or anywhere, somebody always asks me something that's specific to their area around where they live, and is that on the list? Trust me, every blade of grass in High River and every structure, every park, everything is on these lists. We are still extremely busy, and it is still foot to the floor other than downtown High River, meaning vehicle speed. You know what I mean? Got to reroute that little phrase of mine for downtown traffic speeds, but still foot to the floor as far as construction goes, and a lot to do. Could go on forever. I won't take you through the whole list. Whatever your little specific thing is, it's on the list. Don't you worry. That's the renewal program. Little Britches Parade request for funds. We just added. They needed another $5,000 for funding to make the parade a success. And I can't thank Hank Leithbrink and Carol Scott and Sean Hansen, Bob Dyke, Donna Callison, for everything they're doing for this parade. We've got the parade itself, and immediately after the parade is the River of Music event that's going to be happening. And during the River of Music, the River City Car Classics is going to be doing the just a small car show, not the big one we have in the fall, but just a small localized car show. But there'll be this River of Music thing is something that I absolutely love. There's going to be buskers and entertainers all over downtown, and I encourage all the businesses to open your doors that day, because it's going to be a vibrant place that you need to take advantage of, and I can't wait for this. And we'll fill the downtown, turn it into a party place, because that's what we're designing it for, is for people. So let's fill it full of people. 2014 property tax forgiveness batch 4, property taxes in the amount of $85,649.61, and that was just the forgiveness of another batch of taxes. DRP Advocacy Committee appointments. We just reappointed Jim Ross, Tom Dutton, Deb Smith, for another year on the committee. We're hoping that this committee's work is all done by June or July. Bill Fowler, he was the one that chose not to put his hand up for this again, as he sees it starting to wind down. He's very, very busy with other things, so the committee is still in good hands. I can't thank Bill enough for the amount of passion and effort that he put into this committee, and for the whole committee and everybody in this town, everybody in this province. These are the people that made changes in DRP. These are the ones that fought for it, had all the meetings, and did everything to change things for DRP, to make it, to speed it up even as fast as it is right now. But going back to Mr. Fowler, can't thank you enough for everything you did, and your passion's in the right spot for High River. Thank you very, very much for putting your hand up, because this wouldn't have happened without your involvement. Thanks, Billy. Public comments. We just had one thank you from Diane about getting the library up and running again. I think that's about it for now. Any questions, comments? Facebook, Twitter, phone, email, you know how to get us. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.